Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachidishatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachidishatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thai Gauda Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. We have Ashok Prabhu here. We have Jesse online. Hare Krishna. Very grateful that you all are here. I'm gonna just, probably gonna go sideways for a second. That's okay. Just gonna check this thing real quick. Okay. Alright, so we're continuing on in Srimad Bhagavatam. I think I only have one book. We just finished the introduction, so we're diving into chapter 1. Questions by the sages. And so I'm just gonna do the invocation and just putting it out there. If at any time anybody wants to share something or ask something, please do. Like, don't hesitate to stop me, so we can have a little katha, a little discussion. Okay, I'm gonna dive right in. It's a whole hearing meditation here. It's a hearing in the mood of gratitude for Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, and just hearing to relish, basically. So I'm going to start with the invocation and dive right in. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Shrinvatang Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Sahrit Satam Nashtaprayesh Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay. All right, chapter 1, questions by the sages. Text 1. Oh. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Welcome. We're just starting. Kunja just plugged in. Just starting Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, text 1. Hari Bol. Okay, she left. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya yatanmayaditaratascharateshvabhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muyanti Tatsuraya Tejo Varimradam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Tamna Svena Siddhanirashta Kuhakam Satyam Padam Dhimahi. Translation. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Purport. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Sri Vyasadeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha. And Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In the Samaveda Upanishad, it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in his prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord. And if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead. And this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyas, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfect ones among those in the renounced order of life. Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Purana, because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Alright, Krishna, okay. Got a message there. The history of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Sri Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Sri Naradaji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the 4 divisions of the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras, or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Sri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of this work, but in order to reach the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation. At night he sees the stars in the sky, and he naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animals. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Sri Krishna is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator of the universe, but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time, and then it is annihilated by his will. Therefore, the Supreme Will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead. In Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living beings. And above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities, and the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual, as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme Living Being, has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument. But there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the Supreme Intelligence as the Parameshvara. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Intelligence addressed as the Pada, or the Parameshvara, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Parameshvar is Sri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Padatattva Samambonam than himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Padatattva Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto, and especially to the 5 chapters which describe the Lord's rasa dance. This portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual, and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendentally relish this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully, and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, his name, his fame, his qualities, and so on. Any comments or anything at this junction? I'll share something.
Listening along.
Uh-huh.
I'm just listening along here.
Oh, no, thank you. I'll just share, I was encouraged by senior devotees. There's a program called Be a Sage, page by page, and they mapped out the number of pages in different Prabhupada's books, and then how many pages to read a day to read the entire book in different time periods. Like if you want to read, Bhagavatam in a year, you got to read 41 pages a day. If you want to read it, if you read 8 pages a day, it'll take this long, 5 years or whatever, and they mapped it all out with different books. So I was doing 41 pages of Bhagavatam a day because then you read the entire Bhagavatam in 1 year. And actually, I ended up doing that for 5 years straight without stopping. But at the time, I started doing that, and then that was like part of my personal sadhana. And then I was a brahmachari in the ashram, and then the ashram leader said, "Hey, would you like to be a bhakta leader? Because we have 2 new bhaktas coming tomorrow. Can you be the bhakta leader?" And I knew nothing about being a bhakta leader. And neither did anybody else. So I was like, okay. I just had to figure it out. So I was studying, trying to gather a bhakta program together, looking at books like Fortunate Souls, Danavir Maharaj's Bhakta Program Manual, and other books. And I was thinking, how am I gonna keep doing my 41 pages and do a Bhakta program? And then I thought, I'll just make it part of the Bhakta program. So then I basically made the Bhaktas sit there and listen to me read 41 pages of Bhagavatam every day, which took usually an hour and a half to 2 hours. There's a few days where there's sections of the Bhagavatam with really long purports that took longer than 2 hours. So, they surrendered eventually, and just, we all read together, and I would read. And so, since I was doing a program like that, at some point, other brahmacharis, a huge question came up. Devotees were like, Well, what happens when you get to the 10th canto? You're sure you can't read the 10th canto with brand new people. Like you can't do that because we were doing it for a long time. So eventually, I was approaching the 10th canto, and they're like, "What are you gonna do when you get to the 10th canto?" And I was like, "Just keep reading." So then, devotees were like, "Hold on, wait a minute. We don't think you should read the 10th canto." So some brahmacharis were having this question come up. So I went to the temple president, and he said, and I went to my spiritual master. He said, "You must read the 10th canto." But the thing is, you just have to do it in the right mood. And which is basically approaching with folded palms, with all respect, and at least the basic understanding of this is not ordinary materialistic activities. The Lord is not a regular living entity, and these are not materialistic affairs. So anyway, so we went ahead and read and continued. So anyway, it was just reminding me of that because Prabhupada's saying basically we're supposed to read systematically, starting from the first canto through the 9th, and then by that time one is supposed to be a fully self-realized soul, and then they can read the 10th canto. So the principle behind it is just approaching in the right mood, and not in a mood of enjoyment or whatever. Okay, we got some message. If you're on here, what a great idea with the bhaktas. Hearing Srila Prabhupada's books is addictive. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to use the chat if anybody wants to speak. You're more than welcome. But if you want to use the chat, that's also okay. Yeah, and the thing with the bhaktas is I've seen many times, the false ego gets a little disturbed sometimes. Like, how come you get to read? Like, what are you? You think you're great or something? Wow, we should all read it. And actually, I experimented with that. I experimented with passing it around and everybody reading and different formats. And then I eventually came back to this and decided that actually this one is the most effective. It's being passed down by senior devotees. Not only that, if you got a group of like 6 people or 10 people, and if just one of them is like spaced out or has some ulterior motive or whatever, really distracted in their mind, then everybody has to listen to them try to read. And we had one bhakta who was like really kind of disturbed, and he would read and nobody could focus just because he himself was so unfocused. So nobody could retain anything we were hearing, and it was sincerely, it was awful. So there's also, we're going to hear actually very soon. Okay. We're going to hear very soon that the format that actually what we're hearing in Bhagavatam is you have a bona fide speaker and bona fide hearers, and when you have those, then Krishna's magic really descends. And a bona fide speaker means one who's taken shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession. So even if they're not perfect themselves, the empowerment can come down through them if they are at least submissively hearing themselves. And it is said that, one who has submissively heard, can then speak in, and I'm not saying I'm a bona fide reciter myself, but I was requested to do this service. So I basically am banking on the topic that where there's the instruction or the request, there's the empowerment to do it. So anyway, Hare Krishna. Just wanted to share that. Want to share anything, Prabhuji? Or anybody online want to share?
No, I appreciate it though, the service and doing it. And I remember when I was a Bhakta, there was always a struggle to find somebody to do the Bhakta program. So it's great that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Life ain't easy for the bhaktas. Hare Krishna. All right, well, I'm going to continue here. We're in the purport of text 111 of Srimad Bhagavatam. All right, Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarup of the Lord manifested by his internal potency, and this potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Srila Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the two in this shloka. Sri Vyasadeva says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In the desert mirage, there is no actual water. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality, of which this is but a shadow, is in the spiritual world. Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results from interaction of the three modes of nature, and the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appears in so many species of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality, however, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the personality of Godhead eternally exists with his transcendental paraphernalia. The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction, both directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods. Beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no one is independent in the material creation. The hand of the Lord is seen everywhere. All material elements, as well as all spiritual sparks, emanate from him only. And whatever is created in this material world is but the interaction of two energies, the material and the spiritual, which emanate from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. But in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details. And he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to objects made of the gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mine is different. Therefore, the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth. I'll read that again. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth. Conditioned souls, beginning from Brahma, who engineers the entire universe, down to the insignificant ant, are all creating, but none of them are independent of the Supreme Lord. The materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator other than his own self. This is called Maya, or illusion. Because of his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of his imperfect senses, and thus he thinks that matter automatically takes its own shape without the aid of a superior intelligence. This is refuted in this shloka by Srila Vyasadeva. Since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute whole. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly that happens in the creation. In the Shruti mantra, it is also stated that the absolute whole, or Brahman, is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him, and everything is maintained by him. And at the end, everything enters into him. That is the law of nature. In the Smriti mantra, the same is confirmed. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium, and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters, is the absolute truth, or Brahman. Material scientists take it for granted that the ultimate source of the planetary system is the sun, but they are unable to explain the source of the sun. Herein, the ultimate source is explained. According to the Vedic literatures, Brahma, who may be compared to the sun, is not the ultimate creator. It is stated in this shloka that Brahma was taught Vedic knowledge by the personality of Godhead. One may argue that Brahma, being the original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other living being. There was no other being living at that time. Herein it is stated that the Supreme Lord inspired the secondary creator Brahma in order that Brahma could carry out his creative functions. So, the supreme intelligence behind all creations is the absolute Godhead, Sri Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is he only who superintends the creative energy, Prakriti, which constitutes the totality of matter. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva does not worship Brahma, but the Supreme Lord, who guides Brahma in his creative activities. In this shloka, the particular words abhigya and swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all the other living entities. No other living entity is either abhigya or swarat. That is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord in order to create. Then what to speak of great scientists like Einstein? The brains of such a scientist are certainly not the products of any human being. Scientists cannot manufacture such a brain, and what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord. Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither abhigya nor swarat. Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu had to undergo severe penances before they could flout the authority of the Lord. But ultimately they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. This is also the case with the modern atheists who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. Such atheists will be dealt with similarly, for history repeats itself. Whenever men neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in the well-known verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, O Arjuna, then I incarnate myself. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. That the Supreme Lord is all perfect is confirmed in all Shruti mantras. It is said in the Shruti mantras that the all-perfect Lord threw a glance over matter and thus created all living beings. The living beings are parts and parcels of the Lord, and he impregnates the vast material creation with seeds of spiritual sparks. and thus the creative energies are set in motion to enact so many wonderful creations. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker, but of course God is greater because he can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. The male and female forms of different types of machineries go on producing innumerable similar machines without God's further attention. If a man could manufacture such a set of machines that could produce other machines without his attention, then he could approach the intelligence of God. But that is not possible, for each machine has to be handled individually. Therefore, no one can create as well as God. Another name for God is Asamurdva, which means that no one is equal to or greater than him. Param Satyam, or the supreme truth, is he who has no equal or superior. This is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. It is said that before the creation of the material universe there existed the Lord only, who is master of everyone. That Lord instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge. That Lord has to be obeyed in all respects. Anyone who wants to get rid of the material entanglement must surrender unto him. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Unless one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that he will be bewildered. When an intelligent man surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna and knows completely that Krishna is the cause of all causes, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, then only can such an intelligent man become a Mahatma, a great soul. But such a great soul is rarely seen. Only the Mahatmas can understand that the Supreme Lord is the primeval cause of all causes, of all creations, Haribol Navaneet, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Great.
How are you?
Thank you for asking.
Good, I hope. We are in Srimad Bhagavatam 111, nearing the end of the purport. He is Padma, or ultimate truth, because all other truths are relative to him. He is omniscient. For him there is no illusion. Some Mayavadi scholars argue that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Sri Vyasadeva. And some of them suggest that this book is a modern creation written by someone named Vopadeva. In order to refute such meaningless arguments, Sri Sridhar Swami points out that there is reference to the Bhagavatam in many of the oldest Puranas. This first shloka of the Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri Mantra. There is reference to this in the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest Purana. In that Purana it is said, with reference to the Gayatri Mantra in the Bhagavatam, that there are many narrations of spiritual instructions beginning with the Gayatri Mantra. And there is the history of Vritrashura. Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead. That's a good thing to remember. There is reference to the Bhagavatam and other Puranas also, where it is clearly stated that this work was finished in 12 cantos, which include 18,000 shlokas. In the Padma Purana also there is reference to the Bhagavatam in a conversation between Gautama and Maharaj Ambarish. The king was advised therein to read regularly Srimad Bhagavatam if he desired liberation from material bondage. Under the circumstances, there is no doubt about the authority of the Bhagavatam. Within the past 500 years, many erudite scholars and acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Vallabhacharya, and many other distinguished scholars, even after the time of Lord Chaitanya, made elaborate commentaries on the Bhagavatam. And the serious student would do well to attempt to go through them to better relish the transcendental messages. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology Adi Rasa, devoid of all mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man, without information of the actual spiritual form of sex, has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and spiritual sex life. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities: fruits of actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities as inculcated in Vedic verses. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna. That's about time to stop. If anybody wants to share anything, ask any questions, type anything in the chat, any chastisements, corrections.
No, very good.
Haribol. Thank you. Thanks for hearing, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
It makes it even, I feel more indebted, the fact that you have things to do and you're still tuned in hearing. It makes me more indebted to you.
Indebted is not the word. I owe you for giving us this word. That's what keeps me going.
Thank you, yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, what a verse and purport we heard. Very much right off the rip, we are hearing basically the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada especially. But this verse, sorry, I'm just checking really quick. I'm trying to find who's speaking right now because I can't remember. Who's narrating? I'm not sure. But anyway, the first thing they're doing is establishing Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we heard, Srila Prabhupada drove the point home in the purport. And here's the actual verse. O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. In hearing that, it was revealed to me that actually this is Sri Vyasadeva, and this is a Gayatri mantra. So we heard in the purport that Srila Vyasadeva has compiled, the Vedanta Sutra, different Puranas, Upanishads, but he was feeling dejected. He was like not. He's like, yeah, something's wrong, and he asked his spiritual master Narada Muni, I've done all this, but I something that feels wrong or incomplete. Something doesn't feel right. I feel dissatisfied. He said, well, you haven't um, totally focused or written a work totally dedicated to the transcendental, pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So then he compiles Srimad Bhagavatam. And so this first verse is very appropriate for the cause of why neglecting to glorify his pastimes, Lord Krishna's pastimes particularly, was the cause of Srila Vyasadev's dejection. And basically, it's the whole entire Srimad Bhagavatam is basically establishing Krishna as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so, anyway, it makes sense that this is the first verse. It's like the whole essence of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in one verse. So, Hare Krishna. So, like with a verse like this, and even we have heard, I think in upcoming purports, but there's different commentaries on different books by different schools, and even the Mayavadis, they have different commentaries. But Prabhupada said they didn't dare touch this Srimad Bhagavatam. They didn't try to write a commentary on it because they can't. Because the whole purpose of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is establishing, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Samam Banam. So like you have a whole literature that's completely dedicated to that. You can't you can't write a commentary on it how he's not actually the Samam Banam. So that would be really impossible to do. You have to change the whole thing. So that is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you for sticking around, Prabhuji. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Ashok Prabhu is here. He was listening in. He's getting ready to leave now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. I guess I'll head off and finish my night, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bo. Thanks for tuning in, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. We have Jesse on here, my friend Jesse, and yeah, a few others. He's in Wheeling, West Virginia, right?
I'm in Steubenville at the moment.
Steubenville. Stupidville, it's right next to Weird Town.
Weird Town and Stupidville, yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji is just leaving.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, no, we had a kirtan program tonight, and we cooked and everything, and not one person showed up.
I have loved the morning programs because I wake up. I mean, I do administration work and business type work for different men. And I wake up sometimes I can have my own schedule. So I wake up and I'll have my coffee. That's like my routine. But I'll have my coffee and then I start on the computer, but I turn you on and that's when you see me and then I sometimes have a question or whatever. But I really like it because the way that you talk is real relatable. You have a very friendly way about you, so I can share you with anybody. And when people listen to you, they're not offended because you're reasonable, which to me, all of those things lead to you're the right guy for this kind of job for sure. And that's why I enjoy it so much because I can hear it. Sometimes people give class and there's a lot of emotion there with those people, or there's a lot of like, running around the edges of different things, or there's very what I would call fanatical, when they speak about it. And so it means the world to me that you are the way you are and that you're giving it the way you're giving it, because I can share it with my friends and family and everyone can feel encouraged by it. And I do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. It's very kind of you. Yeah, it's very. I'm so grateful to be able to offer something. That's so kind of you. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, if the goal is to get more people, we could sit down sometime. I can help you with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to increase on social media, like putting little short things out to expand the audience. But since my partner, Bhakta Adam, left here, he was here with me. He was helping a lot with that. Since he left, it's been hard for me to find, you know, the balance of doing that because I'm not used to like doing it. So I gotta
Yeah.
come up with stuff, and he was taking a lot of pictures. I can't take pictures of myself in the same way and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
actually, I just had last night. I made one just taking a picture of the Shastra and like putting some music over it and sharing it. And I thought, oh, this ain't bad. I actually
Yeah.
got the. It's actually funny you were talking about like fanatical preachers and stuff. And lately, I've been bumping into some Christians, telling me I'm a demon and stuff. And somehow I actually got the inspiration by seeing like Christians posting like proverbs or whatever. They like take a picture of it and highlight it and put some like angelic choir. So actually, I did the exact same thing, and I was like, man, this is nice. Like you can go see anyway. But
I find that everybody, one of the main reasons that I don't always go down to the temple is not because I don't like the deities. That's one of the more profound things for me. It's not because I don't believe in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. I fully do, and I've read a lot. Once or twice I've read a lot. I would say I read here and there, and I more listen, but it's none of that. It's not that. It's that I am in love with truth, and I don't want a bunch of opinions about it, and so I find myself veering away from the temple, not because it's a proselytization opportunity that I don't like, but because it's any one particular person's proselytization thing that happens. And so I really enjoy reading from the book or hearing like this. And it falls in line with my life and my spirituality. And I don't have a big um, kind of hullabaloo about who I am as a person by listening. I need to work on myself all the time, and that's very important. But I find that certain things like Christian churches, often I feel that in different places I feel uncomfortable walking into the setting, or I feel uncomfortable because someone will come and it's too much to handle all at once. Somebody will want to say some kind of a thing about my life. And I love that I get to discuss that with guys like you and Kala and other people where I can hear it maybe. It's hard to palate it. If you're not a super strong, humble person, to sometimes come down to a place like that, it's hard for a person, you know?
right, yeah, and I think it's a lot of times someone who's like committed themselves to a particular path. Like we can sometimes get caught up in like dogmas or certain rituals or this this and that kind of thing where we might lose we can easily get kind of drowned out with those kind of things and miss the spiritual essence because like even Lord Chaitanya said it's not that he said I am not a Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. He said, I'm not a Brahmachari, Grihasta, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi. He said, I'm basically a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of, you know, the maidservants of Krishna. So basically, he flat out rejects, like, the whole social structure, all the social designations. It's like this idea of like my God and your God is like almost non-different than like, my football team and your football team and that kind of stuff. So like, sometimes we might be, not, caught up in the externals of stuff, and then we approach others in like a fanatical way, or in a way that is missing the spiritual essence of inclusiveness and like, appreciating. It tends to be like kind of one-sided. I think maybe is a little bit of what maybe you're referring to.
Whenever I come to a spiritually minded place, I have an assumption that I shouldn't have. And the assumption is that those people are going to be loving and love whatever I am in their presence. And the fact of it is, we all have our benevolent, loving nature deep within us somewhere. But I shouldn't always expect those things. I should be more ready to handle if someone comes up and they said, "What are you, a Shiva devotee? Get out! How could you live like that? What are you, or something like that?" I'm not, but people run into those scenarios, and I am always like, "Oh no, I feel like, I feel like I should go and shoot myself instead of, uh, or something, Oh God, I am horrible. What am I doing with myself for someone to notice so blatantly how bad I am or something? And so I love that. I keep my circle small, but I'd love to have more to do with things like that. I got so tired of myself as a bhakta going out and proselytizing in the street on Harinam. It was very fun. But then sometimes there was that Harinam is probably the hardest thing to swallow of anything you can do out there. It's like you're handing this stuff out, but you're affecting people and you're trying to pass along the word in some kind of righteous way. And I know I'm not qualified. And then on top of that, I remember we were running around in the streets and there's beautiful homeless women coming up to us. "Oh, let me come to your Hare Krishna farm." So then immediately they're like attached to you and you have a woman and you're a bhakta and it's like you're trying to preach with the Lord's name. It's like this whole, I don't know if you've ever read into that, but that's how it was a lot. We were out in the street as bhaktas, and bringing people back to the farm was a regular occurrence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think like you're talking about kind of like dealing with going to like a religious place or like religious people and they kind of not accepting you as you are,
Mm.
or like trying to correct you, or like if you're not doing
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing. Because I had this realization recently also that someone was basically, they're trying to convert me to their beliefs, and they feel that if I don't do that, then basically, like what I'm doing is evil, and if I'm not convertible, then I'm a demon, and I'm
Yeah.
doing Satan's work, and I'm destined to burn in hell forever, and I'm basically the enemy.
Oh,
And so to me, I just was realizing like, they're saying they're trying to help you because they love you, they want to help you, but it's conditional. It's on the condition that I submit to their belief and believe what they believe, and then if I don't, then literally it flips the other side where I'm literally seen as a demon.
yeah.
So, and I was just, Prabhupada teaches the anya bilashita shunya gunakarma yanavritam, like pure devotional service is unconditional. Pure love is unconditional. It's it's uninterrupted. And so there's no motivation. So that's like the real difference between like being on the material plane is exclusive. Being on the spiritual plane is very inclusive. And basically, when it comes to different religions, the only way to look beyond the differences is that you have to transcend the differences. And so basically, like in any organized religion, we have to come to this, higher platform of actually seeing beyond, you know, seeing what is material and what is spiritual. And I think the real essence of that being on the spiritual platform is, you know, you're not going to be putting that vibration towards somebody. You're going to like have a more loving, inclusive mood. And, we could probably see maybe sometimes like, okay, I can tell where this guy's at or whatever. And he's doing this and this, and I can see it. And he's not quite there yet or whatever, some bhakta or somebody, but like someone who really cares and wants to help them is gonna, and who's really in knowledge is gonna be able to be in such a way that doesn't um, repel them away.
Yeah.
You're gonna appreciate them and serve them.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyway,
the hard part about going out and talking about anything with people. It's funny how it's a special moment to actually give some kind of knowledge to someone because it's so easy to run around when you're vibing and to be like, hey, world, here's some little golden nuggets of love and knowledge, right? But how does it affect one? Or how are we presenting it? I find it's a rare moment for me to be able to say anything to anybody. But when I do, I love to do it for some reason.
well, here in Athens, Prabhupada came here in 1969 and gave a class at someplace. It's actually just right around the corner. And then after that, Radha Swami came here a lot and was doing cooking classes. And there's a Krishna house here over the years. I think this is like the third one over the years. And Radha Swami, he was here and he would come here regularly from New Vrindavan and do cooking classes. And it was like a really happening program.
Yeah.
And like all these people were coming and somebody asked him like, Maharaj, like this is so amazing what you're doing, and he's like, "What's your secret?" And Radha Swami, basically what he's doing is cooking class, and after the cooking class, they'd all eat, and he would just go around and basically make sure everybody was comfortable and just talk to them and be friends with them. And basically, when they asked him like, "What's your secret?" he said, "Don't preach." They're like, "What's your preaching secret?" And he said, "I don't preach." So,
So
like,
true.
that
Only
kind of mood of like,
a
honestly,
guru can
personally,
walk
I preach
amongst
on
us.
here, I read, but most of the time, if I'm out, like like I don't really say anything unless somebody asks me usually,
That's
which
what I was
most of
gonna
the time,
say. Just being you, then they want to inquire, kind of.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes, especially you have to kind of get with the times too. Like, like, I mean, I'm maybe not really totally with the times myself, but at least being sensitive to like if you're making people uncomfortable and yeah, I mean I'll set up a book table and I'll have some kirtan like fired up kirtan playing on the speaker, but most people really actually appreciate it. There might be one or two here and there that's like disgusted because they think I'm a demon and this is demonic, but that's the extreme minority. But it's
Yeah.
good to be sensitive to how we're affecting others.
Yeah, that's what I think. A lot. I grew up in such a way in more of a closely related to Sikh or Sant Mat tradition, and all the gurus that I grew up with had turbans. So everybody automatically thought whatever I was talking about, I was a Muslim extremist. That's
You mean like local friends?
yeah, from Wheeling, Moundsville, or when I was in North Dakota, anywhere I would go, nobody was practicing such things. And so all they could ever see was this Indian guy with a turban wearing a Punjabi. They're like Muslim extremists, every,
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, I did Harinam, and I put a wrap on my head long time ago, and I went driving back to the temple, and this like redneck fella in a big truck was beside me at a red light, and he got so mad at me, and he was screaming at me and threatening me, and like, he saw I was
Wow.
a white guy and I had what looked like a turban on, and he was so mad. Yeah, he was like telling me how much of a bad idea that was, and how he almost wanted to just like shoot me and this and that, and I think I just kind of totally ignored him. I was just like, have a good one.
Love you too.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna, someone's not gonna be happy with you. But as far as possible, if it's preventable, we want to be sensitive to others and try to avoid disturbing people's minds. But some people are just disturbed. So
Yeah.
we can try to wish them well, and what can we do?
It's
Sometimes.
the nature of the realm, the nature of this plane of existence.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We had
Well,
we had
thank
boxes.
you.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just my girlfriend's coming home now. She's gonna expect me to do some service for her, so I have to do.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Prabhuji. Maybe we'll see you more in this format. Hopefully,
Yeah, you're in Athens, so how far from Steubenville?
2.5 hours.
Okay. Well, I'll come up there one of these days and maybe have lunch with you.
Yeah, I'll make you some kitchery.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay.
All right.
So, thank you. Have a great night. Hare
Yep.
Krishna then.
You too. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. So Bhakti C. Hare Bol. Sorry you came in there. We finished the reading, and uh, Jesse was here and he was sharing, and yeah, you just kind of came in the middle of that, and we have Nikunja and Navaneet here still listening in. So it's just open right now if anybody wants to share anything. Uh, Hare Krishna. Yeah, what Jesse brings up is it's a good point to meditate on. It's kind of like, it reminds me of somebody brought this up to me today. Ashok Prabhu was talking about, like sometimes people just put off like a vibration that you pick up on, and you're like, yeah, something's not right here. And we see this also with like dogs and like animals. The other day I was doing a book table, and then these other, like this school groups set up a table. There's a few of them, different tables, I mean, different groups. But this one group came, and it was really funny because I don't know if any of you have listened to Yama Niyama Das Brahmachari music, but in one of his songs, he's talking about karmis, and he said, they even smoochy the poochie, karmi grains. I think it was the karmi grain song. And he's talking about karmis and how they're unclean and just making fun of them. And anyway, he has that line, and I just listened to it recently because I showed Bhakti Adam Yama Niyama Das Brahmachari. And one of his lines is, they even smoochy the poochie. And then, then this like the group from the college came and set up a table, and they had like this big background, and it said smoocha pooch, and they had like dogs from like the local shelter, and people were coming and like having their pictures with the dogs. I don't know if they're like kissing the dogs or what, like taking pictures of people like kissing these dogs or whatever. Anyway, so that was funny, but so I'm sitting there just watching all this happen, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe more than 1,000 students are walking by over the course of a couple hours, and these dogs were very well behaved, and so many people walking by, and at one moment this one guy came, and this dog just for no apparent reason, really did not like that guy. And he started barking, and it got really defensive and aggressive. And there was something about that guy that that dog didn't like. And so anyway, you know, the point that I'm getting at is in that conversation with Jesse, we were talking about, you know, apparent spiritual practitioners kind of coming with, you know, sometimes overcorrecting us or burning us out, you know, or pointing out how we're wrong, and even not even being, you know, too nice to you sometimes, or whatever it may be. You know, it's just kind of a basic understanding of life, and a basic disposition of a sincerely or genuinely spiritual person, that they're very loving towards people. You know, and sometimes, you know, it's not that we have to be perfect, and sometimes we say things that rub people the wrong way. It's not like that. But, you know, to have it's a natural side effect of sincere spiritual practice to be in such a way that is inviting to people in general. You know, even like animals pick up on it. You know, it's so many examples of saintly persons who, you know, animals are attracted to them spontaneously. I mean, even Lord Chaitanya, we heard last night, he was going through the Jarikhanda forest with a Sankirtan, and all the animals became ecstatic, and they were even kissing each other and stuff. So, anyway, the point is, at least for us, it's nice to remember, you know, to be in such a open, inviting, warm disposition towards other living entities, especially human beings. You know, so anyway, Hare Krishna. It's just a basic point. Anyway, does anybody else want to share anything here? We got some stuff on the chat. Hare Krishna. Oh, Navaneeth said, yeah, not everyone accept. If everyone accepts, then why would we be here learning Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? That's what I heard from another Prabhuji. Thank you for your service, Hare Krishna. I'm not sure if I totally understood that from Navaneeth, you know. Basically, if it was automatic that everyone would accept, are you saying we would already know it? Because it's already been accepted by everyone, and we'd be trained from birth. I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but yeah, and it's also to be expected that not everybody will accept it. Prabhupada said, you know, when you're selling diamonds, you have very few buyers. But when you do have a buyer, they're good, and you make a lot of money, a lot of profit. So, like, especially Krishna consciousness in the realm of God realization, spiritual knowledge, it's kind of the you know, like the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream essence of all Vedic literatures. You know, it's like the tip of the top. You know, it's the topmost depth. You know, it's the sweetest. So yeah, when you're talking about that, it's to be expected, especially in today's day and age, that not everyone's going to want it. They're not going to be interested. It's one of the primary qualities of a person, of Kali Yuga, is that people are not interested in spiritual life at all. So, yeah, Hare Krishna. All right. Now's your last chance, anybody, if you want to share, because I feel like I'm talking too much here, and rather hear from somebody else. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai, vancha kalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya eva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha, anantakoti vaishnavrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So